Hi guys, how are you doing? So in this video, I'll be talking about blockchain, but from developers' perspective. So you already know that on this channel, we'll be building our own blockchain, smart contracts, NFTs, and even full-blown NFT trading platforms. But that's a long road, right? To reach there, I need to make sure that everybody is on the same page. And hence the first few videos that I'm making are just related to the basic concepts. Now, blockchain is a very wide concept, and on the background on this image, you can see it's a complete blockchain, right? It's a very wide concept, but for the purpose of this video, I want to look at it only from the lens of the creators and the creators' economy and how it's going to create trillions of dollars of value and opportunity for us developers, right? So what we're going to discuss is called the reversal of flow of value, right? It's a mouthful, it's a big sentence. The reversal of flow of value, but let me give you a small gist, and then I'll come to that. I'll give you a gist, and you probably might not understand it right now, but I'll basically explain everything to you, and then we'll come to that conclusion. So basically, this is how the world really works right now. There are creators, and they create something. Creator could be somebody who has a digital, let's say an illustration or a video or an online course. Now they take this creation, they go to a marketplace and they start selling it to the users or to the buyers, the end buyers, right? And for this, the marketplace is central. The marketplace is required. So this, you can see, it's an illustration of a representation of how a marketplace looks like. There are multiple creators, and then there are multiple buyers, and then this whole thing is the marketplace, right? Now, what's happening is that in Web 2.0 at least, what's happening is that there are creators. Then there's the marketplace, for example, Udemy or YouTube or any other marketplace. And then you have the buyers, right? The buyers want to buy, but they're buying from the marketplace. As soon as the creators upload their property to the marketplace owns the property, the creation, and the buyers then buy the creation. So in this whole transaction, in this whole process, the marketplace gets rich, all right? Whereas where we are headed right now with blockchain is the creators will create something and the buyers will buy it directly from the creators. That means there won't be a marketplace. There will be an imaginary marketplace that will be owned by the creators themselves. The marketplace will be decentralized and the creators will be the owners of the marketplace itself. So the buyers will be buying directly from the creators, and then once the buyer has bought from the creator, then only another buyer can buy from the first buyer, then third buyer can buy from the second buyer, and so on. And all of these transactions are obviously being mapped and recorded onto ledgers. I'll get into that later on. You don't have to worry about that right now. But every single transaction that happens then on, the creator makes money, right? So earlier the marketplace used to get rich and make money. You can see these dollar signs, and now it's always the creators who will get rich. So this is called as the reversal of the it's called as the reversal of the flow of value. Sorry, I keep forgetting that term, right? So this is what we are interested in as developers, right? This is what we can really influence, and this is where we can make a lot of money, and this is where the opportunity for us lies, all right? Now let me explain everything to you so that we come to this conclusion at the end. All right, so now let's start with the basics, right? So being developers, you probably already know the basics, but I still want to go over them so that nobody is actually left out of the whole process. Okay, so blockchain can be used to represent real world things, right? So there's we had the internet, but there was something that was lacking till now with the internet. It was that we could not represent real world things in the digital world, in the sense that with digital, everything had too many copies, everything could be reproduced endlessly, and there was no ownership, there was no limited supply, as you call it, right, for the economics to work properly. But now blockchain creates trust, and it's much required in the digital world because it brings in the most important thing, which is ownership and limited resources, right? So I'll give you an example. Let's say the land outside, right? The physical land that somebody buys, or a company's shares, they're all limited resources, and we don't want anybody to manipulate them. And hence, the common use cases for blockchain include a lot of representation of real estate. So you must have seen a lot of companies or startups selling a lot of virtual land online, right? That's because you can have a 1:1 representation of, let's say, Saudi Arabia or Singapore or Africa, 1:1 representation of that in the virtual world using blockchain. And people can buy it, and since there's limited resources, only few people will have access to it, and the value keeps increasing, just like in the real world you have land, right? So similarly, let me see. Yeah, so I have this diagram just to show you that you have all this land like Africa and all these this is South America, and then you have Australia and all these different continents, and you have cities and countries as well, and you can start representing that on the blockchain, and then you can start selling it, and then people can keep buying from each other. All right, now similarly, money is also supposed to be in limited supply, right? money was always supposed to be in limited supply, right? Till the time money was linked to gold, it was in limited supply. But very recently, I think in the 70s, 60s or 70s, what happened was they de-linked or decoupled gold and money, and then so there's no limit to now how much money can be printed. And this is why you see a lot of DeFi startups, which is basically decentralized finance startups, where they're basically trying to bring the trust back into the currency, which is your blockchain, Ethereum, and all these different currencies, right? And you also probably know how blockchains work, but I'll still explain it to you. So there are these independent ledgers that you see, right? And everything is distributed. So to have any transaction means that all these independent nodes and ledgers will be updated. And this provides trust and complete transparency. That means that, let's say, user A bought something from user B. Now all the other users of that blockchain will be updated that all the ledgers will be updated that, this transaction happened, so that everybody now knows that these many coins were transferred to user A or user B, right? So everybody knows, and everybody knows that these are the number of coins in circulation and who exactly is holding how many coins. So that's really important, right? So there's a lot of transparency, there's a lot of trust. Now, since I have all this background covered, right? I have this background covered, and I hope I've been able to explain the basics of blockchain. Now comes the parts for us developers, right? So blockchain brings with it something called as decentralization, and that's where is the magic for us. So I'll give you a couple of examples, and then I'll give you examples of the opportunities that basically come with it. So I'll just give you an example. Let's say till now, right? We have required banks approvals to transfer money between independent users, right? So you required a bank to basically, if you wanted to send some money to your friend, you had to send it to the bank, and the bank then would send a request to that friend's bank, and then he'll get the money, right? So you needed banks to basically approve and to provide trust in the system that okay, this guy actually has this much money and he's transferring this much money to this person. So you needed banks to control and handle the money and to provide the trust that this guy, obviously he does own that money, right? And so since many centuries, banks have been controlling the money, handling it, and also getting rich, whereas the money always belonged to the people, but banks just were there, they were just controlling the money, so they just kept getting rich, right? But with blockchain, you can have transactions without requiring a third party for trust. So what that means is that from one person, right? From one person, the value or money or anything can flow to another person without requiring a third party in between, without requiring, let's say, a bank in between. All right. And how can that happen? That's because the trust is built into the system itself. The system is basically these independent ledgers, right? And that's the system. This is the system built of trust, because everybody comes to know whenever any transaction happens. So this is why you don't need a third party to validate or approve any of the transactions or record any of the transactions, right? Because the system itself is recording all these transactions. And from a developer's perspective, you need to understand that the system that somebody's created, the blockchain, is nothing more than a decentralized way of storing data, and or in other words, it's just a database, right? It's a very different decentralized or distributed kind of a database. All right, that's all you need to understand. So I'll just repeat again. With blockchain, you can have transactions without requiring a third party for trust. So the trust is built into the system itself, all right, because of the ledgers, because of the independent distributed way the ledgers have been built. Now, I'll give you three more examples, okay? Three more examples to kind of cement what I'm getting to and how this kind of a system, how we're moving from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. I'll give you three more examples, and then you'll start understanding and seeing what basically I'm trying to say here, okay? So let's say this decentralization concept can be used everywhere, right? So imagine an Uber service, like Uber for cars, right? A car hailing, ride hailing service, where the drivers and the riders can interact amongst themselves, but without the need for an intermediary company called Uber. So there won't be a company called Uber, but there will be drivers, there will be people who want the ride at that particular point of time, and the riders can book the car with the drivers directly. Right now what's happening is that the Uber, the company, keeps getting rich, whereas the drivers stay poor, right? Whereas if the drivers owned the company itself, the platform itself, the marketplace itself, then the drivers could keep getting rich, right? And they would determine how much the prices should be. So it's basically giving the power or the value back to the creators, right? Or the people who do the work. That's why it's called the reversal of flow of value, okay? And this was the first example, which was Uber's, and where the drivers will own the platform. Like the second example So let me show you the diagram also. So I got this diagram from somewhere. It's a blockchain-based ride-sharing process, right? It shows you the entire process of how you can have a rider and a driver, and then it's all being done on blockchain, right? You can I can send you this, or you can just Google for it. It's easily available. Even Ethereum's founder Vitalik, he talks about it quite a bit, right? The Uber for that is owned by the drivers themselves. It's a huge use case for blockchain actually. And the second one that I want to talk about is an educational marketplace like Udemy, right? Where the creators own the market or the platform themselves. So right now what's happening with platforms like Skillshare and Udemy and Unacademy and all of these different platforms, what happens is that when you upload your content, the content you upload starts belonging to Udemy. So Udemy becomes the owner of your content. So imagine you spent hours into building a course on Udemy, and then you upload that course on Udemy, and now the Udemy becomes, and you have to sign or you have to click on the terms and conditions where it says that Udemy now becomes the owner of your content that you spend hours creating. And all Udemy does is it just hosts your course. People come and people buy the course, but Udemy takes away 40% of your earnings. And I've heard that Pluralsight takes away even more, like 50 to 60%. So all these platforms, they have a different percentage of how much money they're going to take away from you. Some platforms take 30%, some platforms take 60%, but the creator does not get rich. The platform which is just hosting this course, they're getting rich, right? This means the creators stay poor, and the users like us who buy these courses, who go and learn on Udemy, we don't benefit much either, but the platform company keeps getting rich, right? So that's basically your education use case for blockchain, right? So you'll start seeing these platforms come up very fast, very soon, in about 1 or 2 years, where complete education will be decentralized and democratized, and the creators will themselves own their own content, and they will own the marketplaces as well at the same time. I hope that makes sense, right? It's going to completely change education. And so all the companies that are doing education in Web 2.0 are going to get disrupted really badly. So the third example that I want to take is of let's say YouTube, for example, right? So for YouTube, what you do is the creators spend a lot of time, for creators like me, right? We spend a lot of time, effort and money to create high quality, engaging content. And then users like you who are watching this right now, they pay to YouTube using their attention and their time. So all the attention that you're putting on YouTube right now while watching it, and the time that you're giving it right now is being used by YouTube to actually show you advertisements. And the content, once you upload, once I upload the content, this video on YouTube, it becomes YouTube's property, right? So YouTube is the intermediary firm, and guess who gets rich in this whole transaction? YouTube, right? YouTube has been getting rich ever since it was launched. It's been becoming, the revenue has been increasing, the profits have been increasing very highly. YouTube is a very rich company now. Everybody knows that. So the creators don't get very rich, the users don't benefit a lot, the platform keeps getting rich and keeps hoarding money all the time. So that's what was happening with Web 2.0. Now the same thing is happening all around you. If you look all around you, that's the same thing that's happening on all websites. Like let's say even with Instagram is getting rich from other people's images, right? So all of these companies where the platform was more important, platform like Instagram or YouTube or Udemy or Skillshare, all of these companies where the platform was more important are called as the Web 2.0 companies. And these will change, this will change really quickly, because they will be exact clones of these companies in Web 3.0. When I say exact clones of these companies, I'm saying that there's trillions of dollars of opportunity here that you can participate in. You can start building these kind of companies, right? For exact same companies for Web 3.0, where you'll be using blockchain. And this is the $1 trillion opportunity that people talk about. Not many people understand, why there's a $1 trillion opportunity. Why is blockchain so important? It feels like a hoax, right? It's not a hoax. Very important, right? Everything that was Web 2.0, there will be new Web 3.0 companies that will completely replace these Web 2.0 companies, because with Web 3.0, the creators get rich. And this is what I'll again repeat, it's called as the reversal of flow, reversing the flow of value back to the creators, right? From the platforms. So all the examples that I just gave you, right? I'll just repeat again, right? All the examples that I gave you, Instagram, YouTube, Udemy, Uber, and all these hundreds of platforms will be replaced by exact clones of Web 3.0 companies that will do the exact same things, but they will make the creators more rich, right? And that's why everybody will flock to these kind of platforms. Because creators are really important, right? The creators, if they stop posting videos on YouTube and they start posting on a decentralized platform, that's where the value will get created, and that's where almost everybody will head to, right? So now, I want to share some observations with you, right? So from the beginning of our modern culture, up until, let's say, till as recently as 2005, musicians and artists used to be really important to human society, and they all used to keep getting really rich, right? So think of bands like Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Metallica. All these bands were really rich and really famous and really important, right? And suddenly, in the past 2 decades, there hasn't been much innovation in music, right? We don't like bands don't make that much money. Musicians don't really get that kind of rich, right, anymore. They just make very small amount of money because of Spotify and all these different platforms now, but it's not the same as it used to be. They used to have like $1 million record deals, and they used to become millionaires overnight, right, all the musicians. So what's happening is that since the past 2 decades, Web 2.0 has been stifling creators and making the organizations that brings this democratization richer, right? So for example, Apple Music got rich off music of other people, Spotify got rich, right, YouTube got rich, but the creators are not actually getting rich. This means that the artists, musicians, etc., that became obsolete will now be back, and all companies that got powerful just by making money on other people's creations will start coming down or start collapsing. And the organizations themselves will be owned by the people. So the creators will now own the platforms themselves, and the ownership will obviously be determined by the number of tokens being held by the people. So I'll explain to you the whole in the next video, probably tomorrow or day after tomorrow. I'll show you how you can how the creators can create creations using NFTs and have those tokens record this creation, and then have like a proof basically that they own this, and this is like one of one, and how these tokens can be transacted between people, and how the owners of the actual creation actually keep getting rich. So I'll explain all of that to you in the NFT video that'll come up. So now what's going to happen is, like, let's say if you are a developer, right, and you go and you start contributing to these blockchain kind of companies, like these Web 3.0 clones that will come up. You start contributing to it. All the new features that you built for it, earlier you just used to go to, let's say, a block, or let's say an open source project. You as a developer would go to an open source project and you would contribute something, but you won't get anything in return, right? But now when you go to an open source project like this is called as a DAO, or a DAO, Decentralized and Autonomous Organization. You will go and you will contribute to their projects. You will build some features based on the number of features that you build. You write the code for. You'll get some tokens, and the tokens will actually start making you rich, because those tokens are limited in supply, and you can trade it, you can transact it, you can exchange it with different for a different currency like Ethereum, and the Ethereum can grow up in value, right? So this is basically what's going to happen now. So you'll have completely decentralized and autonomous organizations. You as developers can go and you can either create your own company, or if you don't want to create your own company, you can start contributing and start building these companies. Whenever you build any features, you'll get some coins and tokens, and those tokens can be exchanged for either fiat currencies or any other cryptocurrencies that you are more comfortable in handling, and the value of these tokens will keep going up. All right. So now there will be 100% transparency on why you as a developer get paid. Like, let's say you go and contribute to an open source project, so you'll get paid. So there will be 100% transparency, and then there'll be also transparency on why you got paid and how much you got paid, right? Because you'll get paid in tokens, and tokens can be completely basically there's complete transparency on the blockchain on who has how many tokens, right? So that's what basically I wanted to explain the whole I want to explain the whole blockchain concept to you from a developer's perspective, and why people are saying that there's trillions of dollars of opportunity, because it's true. It's not hoax. It's not just hype. It's actually true. It's happening. And don't worry, just keep watching my videos or subscribing to this channel, and I'll keep updating you on what's happening in this space from a developer's perspective, right? There's a lot happening from a finance guy's perspective, or so many like real estate perspective, but from a developer's perspective, how you can impact change, how you can influence this, how you can make money. That's what we're interested in, right? That's what I'll be sharing. And so keep following this channel, and then I'll also show you obviously how to actually start writing code and start creating actual NFTs and smart contracts and blockchains of your own. So this is just another simple video. Just the first video was that Web 3.0 video that I created, where I just explained the basics of Web 3.0. Now in this video I explained the basics of blockchain. Everything I'm explaining to you is from a developer's perspective, right? The next video will be NFTs and how they work and what they are, basically, again from a developer's perspective. And then after 3-4 more videos, we'll start actual coding and start actual implementation. But I want everybody to come to that same space, so that everybody knows what we're doing, why we're doing, and why this is important, right? Before you just start writing writing code, you need to understand why this is a $1 trillion opportunity and why this is probably the most important thing, according to some people, that's ever happened to mankind, right? I kind of believe that, and I've been following this space for quite some time, so I believe it. And if you believe it, then it'll be amazing, right? So thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next video.